There's a sort of force, an unseen, malevolent presence. It's all around us every day. And it determines when we live and die.
So I'm surrounded by death?
Absolutely. Every day, everywhere, all the time.
Pictures in my head of the final destination.
I think this transition in Final Destination 3 sums up the franchise pretty much perfectly. It's dark and twisted, but why am I laughing? We're watching bodies turn to mush, yet I'm over here on the verge of clapping. Final Destination was never your usual horror series. I'd go as far as to say it's actually more of a comedy series. Save for a few scenes, it's not like I'm ever truly horrified. This is meant to be a crowd pleaser. I binged all 5 Final Destination movies in 2 days to prep for Bloodlines, the first new installment in 14 years. I even avoided all the trailers so that none of the gags are spoiled for me. So I baked some cordon bleu chicken things and put the first disc in, Final Destination from 2000. Right away, this movie feels different from the rest of the franchise. It takes itself a little more seriously. The main character, Alex, truly loses his mind as he tries to unravel a mystery that is beyond our realm of understanding. It sets a bass tone that slowly gets diluted throughout the rest of the series. I really like this first movie. The deaths are visceral, the characters feel realistic, and the camera work kinda rocks.
There they go. Here we stay.
2003's Final Destination 2 is like an extension of the first movie, but with extra self-awareness. From here onward, we don't return to the grounded vibe of the first one. We're now in the dying looks cool territory. Characters take monster logs to the jaw and are split into pizza slices by flying barbed wire. Even the staging of the camera makes us feel like an action movie at times. The highway pileup scene is like burned into everyone's memories. Every time I see one of those log trucks on the highway, I'm like, dude, get the fuck away from me. I dig this movie. It's the Final Destination that little ghosty me grew up watching the most. Moving on to Final Destination 3, my favorite entry in the franchise. Released back in 2006 when I was in high school, these are the type of teenagers I grew up with. If you've ever been to a theme park, the initial roller coaster crash will hit you in the nerves. The chunky sound design brings you right into the machinery. On rewatch, I noticed something. This shit is mean as hell. Death itself is taking way more pleasure in killing this time around. At the end of the movie, you get this whole hopscotch thing where no matter how many times someone is skipped over, Death just loops right back around. He obliterates an entire train full of people just to nab those few remaining survivors. It's fucking cold-blooded, dude. Final Destination 4 is the glaring weak point in the series. It's the first of the 2 made for 3D movies, and it's also the most CG heavy. The main character basically has premonitions in PS3 graphics, barely tapping into the power of the cell. Yeah, not a lot of noticeable practicality in this one, and the inciting accident lacks the fun visual payoffs of the other 4. On top of that, most of the deaths are telegraphed way too hard. Luckily, like the other Final Destination movies, it's a breeze to watch. You're in, you're entertained, and then you're back out. Final Destination 5, thankfully, isn't garbage. I wouldn't say it's on the level of the first 3, but it's a major improvement over 4. Immediately, I noticed how much better the acting is. Oh my god. Like, the acting in 4 was not good.
George! We think saving Jenna broke the chain.
Final Destination 5 to me is the stunts one, and the deaths are back to being gnarly. I'd say the gymnastics scene is one of the best in the series, if not the best. Then you get to the finale, and the movie reveals that if you haven't already noticed from the cars, the phones, and the music, it's the year 2000. And not only that, but this movie connects right into the first one. These unlucky souls are boarding Flight 180. It's an incredible twist and reminds me of the reveal in Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. All in all, a very solid way to finally usher the franchise into deep hibernation. 14 years later, we finally get a new addition to the series, Final Destination, Bloodlines. I just got back from the theaters, so things are still fresh in my mind. I'm going to start this section with my spoiler-free thoughts before ending with a quick chat about the kills and some of the Easter eggs I noticed. So like I said, I went into this movie knowing nothing about the plot. What I quickly realized after the first scene in the movie is that they're focusing on story this time around. This is the only Final Destination movie that clocks in at almost 2 hours. Those extra 30 minutes are dedicated to building on the story. Do I think it adds to the overall experience in the end? A little, yeah. Like, I'm not watching this franchise for the plot, but it's nice to see it actually matter a lot this time around. As for the deaths, I'd say they're on par with the 5th one. Besides maybe one scene, I don't see a lot of these kills topping anyone's lists. That isn't to say that they're weak, just that some of these deaths could have been done practically, which I think would have made them hit harder. Or they were practical and it was hard to tell. This movie has a little too much modern sheen going on, if that makes sense. It still got some genuine reactions out of me though. This time they really made sure the deaths were surprising. I couldn't predict how any of them would end up. It was playful with the audience. This has to be the cheekiest entry so far, I think. It's my favorite aspect of Bloodlines. Being aware that we know how Final Destination works, but still keeping the spirit in all the series tropes that we've come to love. It's awesome. A very solid addition to the franchise. I'm glad I saw it in theaters. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit about spoilers. If you don't want to know about any deaths or how the movie ends, I'd just stop the video here, just a heads up. So yeah, the death scenes. Immediately, I'm thinking of that MRI scene. Definitely the standout for me. The way that dude gets folded in half, the reveal of each piercing he had on him. It's a good example of why these movies to me feel like comedies first. I had a funny moment during the initial sequence with the crumbling Skyview building. The little kid thinking he got away but then getting crushed anyways, it made me crack up. And it was just me laughing. Nobody else in the theater laughed at that. I looked like a psycho. It made me realize, oh yeah, there's a whole new generation of people coming into this series completely fresh. I don't think a lot of them realize it's supposed to be funny. It wasn't until the lawnmower scene where I felt the rest of the theater was finally in on it. They were less tense and laughing along with the movie. It was cool. I enjoyed that Skyview scene in the beginning. Focusing on the fear of heights was a good call. I think the paranoia translates well here. Also, the part where the guy is halfway in the elevator and it falls and crushes him into an accordion, that was pretty crazy. The garbage truck scene was great too. Stephanie being uber paranoid, going, what if this tool falls and hits the man with a leaf blower and makes his kids punt the soccer ball into your face or something? And Eric's like, yeah, right. And then in the background, you see those events unfolding just as she said, as they were arguing. It's one of the best sight gags in the series, I think. A few Easter eggs I picked up on. The mother rattling off what she thinks the name of the hospital is, and she says Clear Rivers, the name of Ali Larter's character in the first 2 movies. Also some visual nods to memorable shots from the franchise, like the smash cut to a coffin from overhead. Nods subtle enough to not be overt, but still reward those that really know and remember the series. I will say they leaned a little too heavily into referencing the log truck from the second movie. It's kind of comical to have that be what kills the leads in the end, but still, I feel like I could have gone with something different. Overall, I'm happy with Bloodlines. Is it going to instill terrifying, paranoid thoughts into a new generation of people like the first 3 did to millennials? No, probably not, but I think it's one of the good entries in the franchise. Best case scenario is it gets people intrigued to want to check out the original movies. Maybe a newfound love for Final Destination is what this series needs. There's so much potential here, so many untapped fears yet to be exploited. Everyone fears death, and no matter how hard we try, in the end, it still comes for every single one of us. We might as well find the humor in it somewhere.
Whoa, easy, Kimmy. First year driving?